Dear you, I'm writing to you from a version of yourself who remembers the very first moments you began realizing how heavy everything felt, but kept carrying it anyway. You didn't tell anyone, you didn't even fully admit it to yourself. You just kept going, day after day, convincing yourself that what you were holding wasn't that bad, that other people had more to deal with, that you should be strong enough to manage it on your own. But deep inside, the weight pressed harder than you wanted to acknowledge. I remember how you woke up some mornings already exhausted before the day even began. You didn't know why at first. You assumed you just needed more sleep, or more discipline, or more motivation. But the tiredness wasn't in your body. It was in your heart. It came from responsibilities that piled up quietly, from unspoken expectations, from emotional burdens you picked up without questioning whether they were ever yours to carry. There were moments when you looked around and wondered why everyone else seemed to handle life so easily, while you felt like you were balancing on a thin edge. You didn't want to burden anyone with your truth. You didn't want to appear weak or incapable. You didn't want to disappoint the people who trusted you. So you did what you always do. You held on, tightly, silently, too silently. I remember the nights when you lay awake staring at the ceiling, feeling the weight pressing against your ribs. You wished, just for a moment, that someone would notice, that someone would gently ask, "Are you okay? Really okay?" But when no one did, you took it as proof that you had to keep carrying everything alone. You pushed through, even when pushing through felt like walking through mud. You weren't wrong for wanting help. You weren't wrong for wanting comfort. You weren't wrong for wanting someone to show up. But instead of asking for it, you built a wall of resilience around yourself. A wall so thick that even you forgot there was a softer person inside, aching quietly. I'm writing now to acknowledge that version of you. The version who was tired but stayed gentle, overwhelmed but kept trying, hurt but still offering kindness. You carried so much alone, not because you wanted to, but because you didn't know another way. And I want you to know, I saw how heavy it really was. There's something important your past self understands now, something you couldn't see then. You weren't meant to carry everything alone, you just learned to. You learned it from moments where vulnerability wasn't safe, from times when asking for help didn't bring comfort but consequences, from being the one others relied on, even when you were quietly falling apart. You didn't choose isolation. You adapted to it. You took on emotional weight that didn't belong to you. People's expectations, disappointments, fears, arguments, silences. You became everyone's safe place while your own heart remained unheld. And because you were good at listening, good at staying calm, good at solving problems, people assumed you didn't need support. They assumed you were strong enough to handle anything. They never saw the shaking beneath your steady hands. You became so skilled at appearing okay that even you began believing the illusion. You carried the emotional world of others while carrying your own in silence. And it made you heavier, not because you were weak, but because your compassion had no boundaries to protect you. Your past self wants you to understand that emotional heaviness doesn't always come from crisis. It often comes from accumulation. A small hurt here, a disappointment there, a responsibility you couldn't decline, a need you ignored in yourself, a fear you didn't speak aloud. And suddenly, the weight wasn't just heavy, it was consuming. But because it didn't come from one big moment, you never felt justified setting it down. You learned to normalize emotional overload. You learned to endure. You learned to stay quiet. And because no one saw you break, you believed you had no right to. But here is the truth your past self sees clearly now. You deserved help even when you looked strong. You deserved rest even when you kept functioning. You deserved care even when you didn't know how to ask for it. You deserved softness even when you presented resilience. Being strong for too long disconnects you from your own needs. It turns your heart into something hard to read, even for yourself. But your exhaustion wasn't failure. It was a message, a quiet plea from within that whispered, "You can't keep doing this alone." And that whisper wasn't a sign of weakness. It was a sign of awakening. Now, I'm speaking to the version of you who is here, reading this today. The you who has carried so much for so long that you sometimes forget what lightness feels like. I want you to breathe for a moment. A slow, soft breath. Let it remind you that you don't have to hold everything so tightly anymore. You are allowed to put things down. You are allowed to ask for support. You are allowed to rest without earning it. You are allowed to be human, not invincible. The world will not fall apart if you pause. The people you love will not crumble if you take care of yourself. Your worth is not measured by how much weight you carry. Strength is not proven through suffering. Strength is proven through honesty, through saying, "I need help," through setting boundaries, through choosing yourself, even when you feel guilty for it. There are people ahead who will hold you gently. There are moments of rest waiting for you. There are safer spaces forming around you, slowly but surely. There is a lighter version of your life beginning to unfold. You don't have to unload everything at once. You can set it down one piece at a time. You can learn to share what you're carrying. You can learn to let others show up for you. Imagine yourself standing in soft light, a version of you no longer bent beneath invisible weight, a version of you breathing fully, a version of you who finally understands that you don't have to earn care. You deserve help. You deserve help. You deserve support. You deserve to feel unburdened. And your past self is watching you now with so much pride. Not because you kept holding everything, but because you are learning to release what was never meant to be carried alone. Take another breath. Let it loosen something tight inside your chest. Let it remind you that your heaviness doesn't define you. You are allowed to let things be lighter. You are allowed to let yourself be held. You are allowed to step into a life with less weight and more peace. Sincerely, you.